Good evening. I call this regular meeting to order at 6:35 p.m. We're going to have the Pledge of Allegiance led by Commissioner Andrade.
Please stand.
Thank you. Adrian, can you please call the roll?
Commissioner Andrade,
Present.
Commissioner Chavez Morris, Commissioner Jennings Nunez,
Present.
Vice Chair Brenhog,
Here.
Chair Godo,
Here.
and Youth Ambassador Kelly Munoz Rios,
Here.
Youth Ambassador Aaron Situ.
Here.
We will now have some announcements from our staff liaison, Matthew Morales-Stevens.
If you wish to address the HERE Commission during tonight's meeting, we request that you please complete a speaker's card and hand it to the clerk, Adrian Franquez. When speaking, please state your name for the record. If you wish to be added to the distribution list to receive HERE Commission agendas, please email your request to herecommission@sgch.org.
Thank you. We're going to have the approval of the agenda order.
I would like to move that we change the agenda order just a little bit, and that after our first discussion item, the HERE Commission updates, that we move to the discussion of approved 2024 annual work plan, specifically the Youth Ambassador program.
Great. Do you mind if we move that to before, if we leave the commission update and then move that before the RIPA report? Is that what you said?
Yes, that's what I
Okay,
meant.
thank you, sorry. Okay, so I think that was a motion, so do we have a second?
I'll second.
Can we take the vote, please?
Commissioner Andrade,
Aye.
Chavez Morris is absent. Commissioner Jennings Nunez,
Aye.
Vice Chair Brenhog,
Aye.
Chair Godo.
Aye.
Motion passed by a vote of 4 ayes, 0 nays, 0 abstentions, and 1 absent.
Thank you. We're going to move to item 3, public comment. This is the time set aside for members of the public to address the HERE Commission on items of interest that are not on the agenda but are within the subject matter jurisdiction of the HERE Commission. Pursuant to the Brown Act, the HERE Commission cannot answer any questions or take any action until such time as the matter may appear as an item on a future agenda. If you wish to address the HERE Commission, please fill out a speaker's card and hand it to the clerk. Do we have any comments?
Yes, we do. Our first public comment is by Dr. Felix Nunez.
Good evening, Commissioners. Thank you for this opportunity. I stand here today to speak of my support for the work of the HERE Commission and deep appreciation for the Commissioners. The HERE Commission represents our shared values of diversity, inclusivity, tolerance, and equality, and as such give voice and deed to the vision of an ever greater community here in San Gabriel. Since its founding over 3 years ago, the HERE Commission has been engaged in work to fight hate, bigotry, racism, xenophobia, and homophobia. The commissioners have worked tirelessly to build a stronger, more resilient community through events such as the Mental Health Wellness Expo and the planned recognition of AAPI Mental Health Awareness Month in May of this year. The Commission has worked to advise the city on opportunities to recognize and celebrate our Indigenous forebearers through city proclamations, educational videos, and a land acknowledgement statement. They have activated the city's first mandatory implicit bias training for staff and have amplified the need to increase translation services to increase the inclusion of our API and Latino residents. They established the first of its kind youth ambassador program to give youth an opportunity to become engaged in the civic life and learn about the issues of tolerance and social justice and experience the democratic process firsthand. In short, we are blessed as a city to have such a dedicated and highly motivated team of commissioners with the educational background and lived experience necessary to carry on this valuable work. Thank you, commissioners.
Thank you. Do we have any other? Yes.
Yes. Our next public comment is by Jean Raya.
Good evening, Commissioners. I just wanted to say, as we close out Women's History Month, that I would like to use this moment to thank you and to acknowledge that the city is indeed fortunate to have such distinguished, committed, passionate women serving in a volunteer capacity. I know that it takes a lot of sacrifice to put in the time that you do to not only to be here for meetings, and I wish listen to more of the public, and I'm sorry I haven't been here more often, but thank you for everything that you've done under your work plan and the work that I know you will continue to do to improve the quality of life for all of the residents of our city and to acknowledge all the residents of our city. And I think you are deserving of every respect and expression of gratitude. And I extend that to the Youth Ambassador. Thank you.
Next comment by David Localio.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is David Localio. I am a 19-year resident of the city of San Gabriel. I have no prepared notes for this evening, but there are some things that I would like to share with you. I had the privilege of attending the very initial meetings that took place at the height of the pandemic in Vincent Lugo Park. And many of us got together to talk about the HERE Commission. At that point in time, we didn't even know the name. So I was very fortunate to attend those meetings. I have supported the HERE Commission from its very, very beginnings. I continue to support the HERE Commission in the great work that you have done. It has recently come to my attention that certain members of the City Council are considering disbanding the HERE Commission. I find that very worrisome, and I find that deeply disturbing. I want you to know that I give you my full support. I will be attending the April 16th City Council meeting, and I will be actively engaging discussions with members of the City Council to do everything that I can as one citizen, as one resident of the city of San Gabriel, to ensure that the HERE Commission continues to exist and continues to do its work. I am originally from New York City. I've been living in the state of California for 35 years now. There's a saying that you can take the boy out of New York, but you can't take the New York out of the boy. I say that to you because when I speak to the City Council, I will speak frankly, I will speak passionately, and I will remind them that decisions that they make have consequences when elections come forth. So thank you very much. Again, I applaud you for the incredible work that you have done. Please keep doing what you do. Thank you again.
Next comment by Florence Simpson.
Hello, and thank you both for your wonderful comments. I do applaud all the women on the board and also our students as well. So my name is Florence Simpson. I'm a resident of San Gabriel, and I'm here to support the HERE Commission. First, once again, let me read the purpose of the HERE Commission. The purpose of the HERE Commission is to advance and advocate for equity, access, diversity, social justice, safety, mutual appreciation, increased cultural competency, positive intergroup relations, and respect for all members of the San Gabriel community. In the motion to adopt ordinance number 670 establishing the HERE Commission, it was stated, whereas a result of this engagement process, the City Council now wishes to create a new advisory commission to be called the Human Equity, Access, and Relations Commission, the HERE Commission, that will report to the City Council, advance the city's commitments as stated in the first recital above, and address issues of equity, diversity, social justice, safety, mutual appreciation, and respect on an ongoing basis. I do not believe that this commission was created with an end date in mind. I do not believe that when the City Council voted unanimously in October of 2020 to create the commission, that they would believe we would be living in a utopia in 2024 and no longer need the commission. On the contrary, I believe the council created the commission to continually advance the exact issues listed in the adoption of the commission on an ongoing basis. The commission works to continuously address the issues of equality, diversity, social justice, safety, mutual appreciation, and respect, and to be prepared to stand and serve when new issues or challenges arise. First, let me thank the commission for the work you've done. For the work of mental health awareness and hosting the mental health expos, they offer vital resources. Your efforts to uplift San Gabriel's diverse residents and create a community that celebrates diversity, where everyone can feel safe and welcomed, is commendable. A commission that arose from the Black Lives Matter movement stood strong to stop Asian hate and has asked the council to support the All Are Welcome program is an asset to the city of San Gabriel, and you deserve to be commended. Second, let me apologize for not being an active resident and for not being engaged in supporting the commission and the work that you do. I apologize for being complacent, for not bringing my voice, my advocacy, and my resources to you to help bring about positive change. If we as residents of San Gabriel are not active participants in the work that the commission does, we cannot truly make the change we desire to happen. I believe that we as residents and the commission itself can do better working together and advancing the goals of the city to gain support for the city council once more. We need to recommit ourselves and dig deeper, reach out wider, and bring more voices and resources together. Finally, with my utmost respect for the commission and your work, I respectfully request that the All Are Welcome program be put on hold. Over the past week, I've joined with other residents to form a coalition that will offer a wide range of resources, services, and expert counsel that will offer a wide range, again, of resources, services, and expert counsel to help guide the City Council in developing a program to support the LGBTQI+ community in San Gabriel. Although this work has been on the HERE Commission's work plan for over the past 2 years, we have heard the City Council's suggestion that outside resources are needed and should directly work with the city. Our coalition wishes to do exactly that, and we look forward to reaching out to the City Council. So in closing, thank you for your hard work, for your countless volunteer hours, for your personal courage, and for your unwavering support of those who need you the most. We will be here to support the commission on an ongoing basis. Thank you.
If anyone else here would like to submit a comment, please come forward. Sorry for our technical difficulties. We're going to take a 2-minute recess while we try to resolve some technical issues. Thank you, everyone, for your patience. We understand that there were some comments that might have been submitted online, but we're having a little trouble with determining where they went. So we're going to leave the public comment period open while we attempt to locate where they went, but we'll move on with the meeting in the interest of time. So our next item is approval of minutes. Matthew, do we have any public comment on this action item?
We do not.
Okay. I know that I just had a couple of quick edits to it that I provided to Adrian, which was just a couple of name switches. So did anyone else have any edits that they wanted to make to the minutes? Okay, then can we get a motion to approve?
I move that we approve the minutes as amended.
I'll second.
Thank you. Can we take the vote, Adrian?
Commissioner Andrade?
Approve.
Commissioner Chavez Morris is absent. Commissioner Jennings Nunez?
Aye.
Vice Chair Brenhog?
Aye.
Chair Goda?
Aye.
Motion passed by a vote of 4 ayes, 0 nays, 0 abstentions, and 1 absent.
Thank you. We'll move to item 4, our discussion items. Under A, the HERE Commission updates. The staff will provide an update on the HERE Commission as it pertains to pending future projects and the future City Council agenda item to discuss the possible removal of the HERE Commission. And Matthew, you're going to present. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair Godo. So the item was brought forward at the March 5th City Council meeting for the potential removal of the HERE Commission. It's important to note that has been no action taken at this time other than to add it to a future agenda. The discussion will still need to be had. Public comment will still take place at the upcoming City Council meeting, but the ultimate decision will be made by City Council whether or not the HERE Commission will remain or will be dissolved at that time. As of now, a staff report is set to go on to City Council on the April 16th City Council meeting. The order of which I can't tell you because I don't have that information, but it will be presented that night, so I apologize if it's a late one like our last one. Some items that will be included in the staff report will include the ordinance to remove the HERE Commission, as well as a list of accomplishments that the HERE Commission has accomplished over the last several years. And we've been including those in the work plan, so it'll be essentially all of those items that the HERE Commission and City Council has seen already, just in a kind of listicle format that they can readily have available rather than having to dig through the work plans. They'll also have your current work plan as well. So what would, should the commission continue beyond the April 16th discussion, what has been approved by City Council in the work plan and what the commission would intend on moving forward with. The staff report will be fairly neutral in nature. It will be very factual in nature, so it'll include all of the items that were presented that were presented thus far, and then the council will have their discussion at that time. At that time, they may decide other options, so that will be completely up to the council at that night. Of course, staff will be there to advise and provide additional factual information should additional questions arise. As far as additional information above and beyond the HERE Commission, that won't typically be included in the staff report. It will only be as it pertains to the HERE Commission and the work that the HERE Commission would be doing. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
I have a few questions, but I'm going to let my colleagues kick us off.
Maybe we'll cover some of the questions in just what each of us asked. So first question is in terms of the process. So April 16th, the initial ordinance will be read. What is the process after that? So there's a second ordinance that needs to be read. The earliest, depending on the decision of the City Council, that the commission could be disbanded would be the following meeting?
I'd have to clarify with our director and city manager, but it's my understanding that they could choose to waive the second reading and kind of complete everything during that council meeting. But they could do the two-meeting process where there's the first reading and the second reading.
And second question is, if either the council member who asked for it to be an agenda item or one of the two who approved it to go on the agenda asked for it to be removed from the agenda, does it still have to go forward at this point, or would it end then?
They would likely need to have a majority to kind of nod their heads in an agreement to not have it proceed forward. At this time, there would only be the one more additional council meeting before it gets presented to them in this formal format. The only way to have a full discussion would be if it's agendized in some way to talk about the potential for it going on the agenda, which is kind of an odd way to go about that. So potentially, yes, and the way that it was brought forward was through the council comments. So should a council member decide to mention it during their council comments to not have it added on, potentially there could be kind of the head nods. But at this point in time, you may have a more fruitful discussion as far as the direction of the HERE Commission, if it does go on the agenda, to be able to get all of the opinions and insight during that agenda item.
Okay, thank you.
In the ask to put it on the agenda, I think it was asked also to report from the staff on the ability of the staff to kind of take the place of the HERE Commission, or to work with local organizations to do this similar work. Is that also going to be included in the staff report?
Sure. So it wasn't, from my understanding, and I'd have to replay that, so I apologize, but it wasn't as much as the ability to take on the exact, replica of the HERE Commission, but additional services such as the case management services that was presented at the last commission meeting that would provide additional services to the public. It's also not my understanding that it would be kind of an immediate staff implementation. It would be something that would be done over time and something that would be brought forward on an item-by-item basis. It may potentially reach the point where additional staff would be needed at that time. But typically the way most items are added are incremental. Our city isn't typically large enough to be able to take on large projects at one time. So I think to answer your question, it wouldn't be kind of an if this then that scenario. It would typically be much more gradual than that.
Just a clarifying on that. So is that answer going to be put in the staff report also to them? I don't know if that was exactly what was asked for, but if there's some kind of estimate on like how much extra staff time or resources are needed.
Sure. So I apologize for not answering your question more clearly. So no, the intent wouldn't be to add that into the staff report at this time. There hasn't been clear enough direction as far as what the council, and that can certainly be part of their discussion at that time, if they chose to remove the HERE Commission, what they would expect from staff, and then it would be likely a separate staff report that would need to be brought back once the council has provided clear direction as to exactly what they're wanting to see. Because, for example, if the HERE Commission were to be removed, it doesn't mean that staff would replicate all of the projects that were on there, on the work plan. So we would need to go back internally to figure out, out of those, what the council would like to see, and then how much staffing, if additional, would be needed to accomplish those items. So I hope that answers it a bit more clearly for you.
Do either of our youth ambassadors have any questions they would like to put forward? No? Okay. Go ahead.
Sorry, I have one more. I'm sorry. We do have on our agenda today to talk about the movie screening that we're planning for in May. And my question is, if we are going forward with wanting to do this movie screening, if that item comes up on the agenda like at a similar time to when the commission is going to be terminated? How does that work?
Sure. So the way that we're approaching a few of the projects with regards to the HERE Commission are things that staff could continue feasibly above and beyond, this discussion, right? So should the HERE Commission not continue, can the staff feasibly move forward with it without the support of the HERE Commission and or without the additional bodies that are needed to move forward with those? So one of the items is the movie screening. So that is certainly something that potentially staff could move forward with. It is close, it is coming up, so we wouldn't want to kind of halt the proceedings on that. It falls in alignment with what our department, the Community Services Department, does, so it's something that could certainly move forward in the planning projects. Things like the Safe Zone program that would require a large number of people on the ground and people making connections to make that program successful, that would be on hold for now. And then the Youth Ambassador program, we would likely put that on hold, continue to hold that one until a final decision has been made by council, because we wouldn't want you to go through the process of the interviews and then appointing someone and then they're only there for a couple days. So those are the two projects that are, so I apologize. So those are the kind of the items that we're looking at placing on hold. The other items like guest speakers or items like the movie screening that are either short-term or items that are feasible for us to take on as a department, should that decision happen, we'd be happy to do so.
I had an additional question. At the city council meeting, at the time, Mayor Harrington had mentioned that as mayor, he had the authority to add any item to the agenda. Does the mayor also have the ability to table any agenda item, or is that something that still requires a majority vote?
Unfortunately, I don't have an answer for you at this time. I would need to check with the city clerk's office and get back to you. Again, I would, given the fact that it's already been brought forward, the purpose of the head nods are really just to be sure that a fruitful discussion can happen. Whether it's positive, negative, keep or not keep, the discussion would likely still need to be had at this point. Whether or not the mayor has the authority or the ability to remove it on their own, I would need to double check with the city clerk's office.
And one other question that I had was, we certainly appreciate all of the support that we've had at the last city council meeting and at this meeting as well. Would we be able to attach any letters of support from organizations that we've worked for, or anyone who wanted to submit sort of their support for the continuation of the HERE Commission with the staff report? Is that something that is possible?
I wouldn't recommend it as part of the staff report. I think it would be more appropriate as public comments. Similar to Supervisor Hilda Solis submitted her letter through public comment, that would be the time where it could certainly be accumulated that way. And then if items are brought forward, a day or two ahead of time or earlier that day, we can compile all of those public comments and submit them to council as kind of one package, so then it's easier for them to sort through as well.
Thank you, that's helpful. Is there anything else, anyone else? Yes.
Just a couple of things. So one, just an answer to Commissioner Brinha. My understanding of the staff report in terms of direction to be able to perform some of the programs that the HERE Commission has put forth is that the statement will basically be, if the council directs it, we'll make it happen. That is kind of what the usual staff report is. So based on what the council request, the staff will come back and let the council know how they will make that happen. So I think that is your question. In terms of the Safe Zone or the All Are Welcome program, there was a comment from our public comment about tabling it or putting it on hold, but you mentioned that it is on hold at this point anyway. because we're waiting to see the future of the commission. Is there anything more formal than that that we need to do, or it just remains on hold?
Correct, yeah. That's it for now. I think you'll need to make a more formal decision once the item has gone to council. If the commission does continue, then you'll need to have a discussion as a commission as far as how long will it be? Because as a staff, we know that it's until the April 16th discussion, right? But as a commission, you'll need to decide: are you going to table it for a few months beyond that? Are you going to table it permanently, or what the decision will be at that point?
So that would be if we have an April meeting.
Correct.
Any other questions? All right, thank you. Thank you for that clarification. We will move on to our next item. We're going to bring up the discussion of the approved 2024 annual work plan, just to ensure that we cover a few items in case the meeting runs long, and our youth ambassadors to be respectful of it's a school night. So the commission will continue working on the approved 2024 annual work plan, and staff will provide an update on programs that have been placed on pause. Matthew, do we have any public comments on this discussion item?
Not at this time, unless there's additional members of the public that would like to speak tonight.
If there's anyone who'd like to speak on this item, you can please give a card to our staff at this time. Matthew, I was thinking for this, I know that we have a number of things from the work plan that are agendized as separate items, but we've mentioned already the Youth Ambassador Program, and I wanted to take a moment to talk a little bit about that. And I'd like to also discuss a little bit further the All Are Welcome program pause. And then I think thirdly, what we probably need to decide at this meeting, just in case, is our report that's due for our City of Hope Healthy Living grant. So those are the three areas that I'd like to cover in this, and if there are other agenda items that anyone, or our work plan items that anyone wants to also add, we can do that as well. So I know you kind of already gave the update on the Youth Ambassador Program. So we were at our last meeting poised to post the applications. Now I went back and looked, and I think our youth ambassadors joined us for their first meeting in May. So technically speaking, April would be your final meeting with us. And I think all of us here would want to express our deep appreciation to our two inaugural youth ambassadors. You've done a really fantastic job of bringing your voice to the table and representing your peers in all of the discussions that we've had. You've just done an outstanding job. And I'd like to give you time on the agenda for our April meeting, should we be having an April meeting, to talk about your experience, anything you want to say, and then also to provide us with any input to help make the program stronger. So if you all will think about that and be prepared next time, we'll give you a few minutes, whatever you would like to address with us. Is there anything else? I guess one other thing that I wanted to maybe ask you about, Matthew, is since we had been prepared to move forward with the program, if it should be decided on April 16th that the HERE Commission will move forward, would we be able to have that posted on the next day to try to get that out before, we run into the end of the school year?
Yeah, of course. All of the edits have been made. Everything's done and ready to post. So it's just a matter of getting it on the website and then posting it through social media and sending it off to the school districts, and they have it as well. So it can certainly be done the very next day. That's not a problem.
So I think it would be great to hear from my colleagues, and I'm going to take the liberty of addressing everyone on the commission by your first names. I think it would lend itself to a little more collegial atmosphere and maybe be a little less intimidating and formal to those who are listening. So if anybody would, and I invite you to do the same, I invite staff to do the same, although I understand if you all have protocols that you have to follow. But if anybody wishes to continue to be addressed as commissioner, we will definitely honor that. But for our youth ambassadors as well, I'm going to move to first names. So what are your thoughts about how long we should post? I think previously it was about a month to push that information out, which would make it mid-May. And then I think we kind of did a really rush for ourselves in terms of having enough time to review all of the applications that came in. But if we give ourselves 2 weeks, then we're running into the beginning of June. So when is school out for you all?
Early June,
Early June, okay.
June 6th.
Okay, so that's good to know, June 6th. So what are your thoughts about whether, because I know at the end of school, there's also finals. So what are your recommendations in terms of the timing for interviews? Would you suggest having it after school has ended, letting people get done with their finals, or do you think it'll be difficult for us to get in touch with folks? What are your initial thoughts?
I think it's okay to have the same 1 month time period. My main concern here is that if you post it after school has ended, you're also going to lose a lot of your connections, because the people we did last year was mainly through the school board and the college and community centers. But once people are in the summer, they're all relaxing, they're not really checking their emails, and so you lose a lot of that outreach. The other thing in terms of time, most people by now should be relatively prepared for their finals. A Hear Commission application would take I would say 2 hours at most, and the actual attendance is another 2 hours at most. 4 hours should not be the difference between you getting a C and a B or a B and an A. So for most students, I think it is reasonable to expect that they can fulfill the role and apply within a month's time, also giving the commission a month to review it. And even then, the first meeting isn't super crazy. It's more about just getting to know the process, sitting there, understanding, and just being welcomed.
Kelly, do you have any thoughts?
It's just like Erin said. We also have to take consider of the kids that are taking AP exams, and knowing a lot of people that tend to do it last minute. So possibly maybe around, I guess probably finals of May at least. Then yeah, honestly, it's really hard April, May, and June. But I think what Erin said, it's better to do it now, and then in summer.
Okay, that's really good feedback. Thank you. And my last question for you all is, although you will be officially exiting as youth ambassadors, would the two of you be interested in participating in the interview panel? And you can think about it.
I'm down, honestly. I want to see how you guys reacted when I was standing the podium.
I think I'd like to participate in the interview panel, but I think I will most likely, if possible, try to abstain from voting, because I do want to recommend people, but not let my bias affect any outcomes here.
Okay, good. That's good to know. Thank you. Okay, so it sounds like if we are continuing, that we can post immediately, and we'll ask for your help also to push out the information with your peers that it's posted, maybe for 4 weeks until May 16th, and then we'll take maybe a week and a half to review.
Can I just suggest that if this would work, if we posted immediately following, we used a month and it's May 16th, and we notified people of the interviews but didn't hold the interviews until maybe the day after school was over or that first week after school. It just seems like we're pushing it right into either Memorial Weekend or right after that, which is the finals weekend. And if we can notify the students before they leave for the summer, then we hopefully avoid them not checking emails, but hold the interviews that second week in June, and then we would be prepared for them to join us for the June meeting.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
Okay, we have a plan. Is there anything else that anyone has to add about the Youth Ambassador Program? We'll just say right now that we hope people will look out for it on April 17th and maybe be prepared to submit their applications. So for the next item, Matthew also already sort of gave us a little bit of an update in terms of the All Are Welcome program. At our last meeting, we were working on an updated staff report, and that's what's been on hold. But given our public comment tonight, I think it might be a good idea for us to discuss whether we want to table this program sort of on a more long-term basis and perhaps turn it over to the coalition. I think the sort of two positive outcomes from taking that action would be that it would ensure the longevity of a program like this, because we would not have to go back year after year to the city council for approval. It'd be run by an outside organization or coalition that has, subject matter expertise. And then I think the second outcome might be that the program might extend to a larger region than we had planned. I mean, we had thought about this for just the city of San Gabriel, but some of the partners that we've had in the program include the San Gabriel Valley LGBTQ Center, which serves all of the San Gabriel Valley. So I'm thinking that if we wanted to sort of table this off our work plan, that maybe we would need a motion to do that in a vote. Matthew, what are your recommendations?
I would definitely recommend a vote if you're planning on completely removing it from your work plan, and just essentially you're amending the work plan.
What are everyone's thoughts about that?
I understand the benefit. Thank you for explaining it. I just would hope at some point in the future that even if it isn't a program that's implemented by the HERE Commission, that because the council is so interested in partnerships, that it be a partnership that we can explore at a future time between the HERE Commission and whatever entity takes over that program.
I agree, and I'm thinking of it along the lines of the Stop Asian Hate program, which is kind of overseen by the Asian Youth Center, but we partnered with them on their pop-up art programs and have worked with them on some of their activities, and they actually had agreed to come on board to provide some of their bystander training. So I think there still is a lot of opportunity for the HERE Commission to sort of be a part of the coalition, but not be responsible and not have the city necessarily be the sponsor of the program. Those were my thoughts. So if you all are in agreement, we could make a motion and move to table. I don't know if I'm allowed to make the motion, but maybe I will. I would move to table the All Are Welcome program at this time from our 2024 work plan and allow the coalition to move forward with developing and implementing it in partnership with the city.
Okay, I will move to remove the All Are Welcome program from our 2024 work plan.
I will second that.
Okay. So Adrian, if we could take the vote.
Commissioner Andrade.
Aye.
Travis Morris is absent. Commissioner Jennings Nunez.
Aye.
Vice Chair Brenhog.
Aye.
Chair Godo.
Aye.
Motion passed by a vote of 4 ayes, 0 nays, 0 abstentions, and 1 absent.
And if I can take the liberty, I will work with our vice chair to memorialize this into a letter to inform the city council that we've made this motion, if that's acceptable to everyone. The chair, the vice chair and I will take that responsibility. So thank you. And the last item is the Healthy Living Grant report that we need to do for City of Hope. And for our new member, we received a grant from the City of Hope for our Mental Wellness Expo last year that provided translation services for our workshops. And so at our last meeting, Chastity had mentioned that she'd been participated in a evaluation workshop that helped prepare us. And one of the requirements of the grant is for us to provide a poster and a presentation that summarizes how the money was used. And there's a conference that I think is the beginning of June, if I'm not mistaken. I forgot to look up the date, but I think it's early June, where we'll have to present our the outcome of that grant. So I figure we better talk about it now, just in case.
So yes, as Vicki said, it's June 7th. It is an in-person conference that I am planning to attend. They basically want a report, and so our evaluation workshop kind of walked us through how to provide the report and some guidance on elements to include in the report. So it will need to be provided whether there is a HERE commission or not, because we accepted and utilized the funds. And so I will work with Chair Godo, and I think there can only be 2. Well, if there is no commission, well, I can work with whoever I want to, quite frankly. If there is still an official commission, then we'll move forward, and I'll work with Chair Godo to get the information for the poster, and with Matthew and the staff to get the information that I need. Thank you.
I think that's great, because our next item that we're going to be talking about, I think Michelle is going to be a little bit busy right in May, but I will say that if you're comfortable making the presentation solo, that's great. If you would like a partner, then Michelle might have to jump in at that point, because I'm on the selection committee, so I can't make the presentation with you. But I'm happy to work with you on compiling the data, since I have the survey forms, and then we can loop you in, and I can step back from the actual presentation. So that would be great. Okay. Any questions about that? Okay, super. Let's see. Is there anything else from the 2024 work plan that anyone wants to bring up at this point?
I just have one other item. So that is the land acknowledgement statement that we have been working with in partnership with the Historical Preservation and Cultural Resource Commission. Will that, I'm not sure where we are in the work. At our last meeting, we were working through some questions about how to identify this land that we occupy that would be acceptable to both tribal leaders. And I don't think that we have another meeting scheduled at this point, but we had come pretty far after almost a year and a half of working on that, and so I would like to see it completed. Is that something that the Historical Preservation Commission would continue on its own? Would that need to be directed by City Council as well to continue that work? Or since it involves two commissions. Can one commission continue the work?
Yeah, I don't see there being a need for it to go to council at this point. Where we left off, well, I should say where the committee left off was essentially 3 options to present to the tribal leaders. Those have not been presented to the tribal leaders just yet. There was another item that was getting worked through, so we wanted to make sure that that was taken care of before we brought forward this item. So over the next couple of weeks, we'll be working with the tribal leaders. Once we get their feedback, assuming they come to an agreement on one of the 3, then it will get taken to council, and then they can determine really the final choice as to whether or not to implement that final, or to approve the land acknowledgement statement as proposed by the committee, and then how it would be implemented throughout the city from there. At that time, they could also choose to push it back to the Historical Preservation and Cultural Resource Commission to work on the outreach and the implementation, as mentioned, by the committee. So the committee did, for those of you who are not familiar, the committee has also outlined several possible uses for that statement. So again, if the tribal leaders approve the statement and then the council approves it, then I know that a couple of members of the Historical Preservation Commission have already expressed interest in assisting through that process. So should the HERE Commission not move forward, I don't see there being a problem keeping that momentum going, albeit I know we've been a little slow, so I apologize. But
Is there anything else?
I wanted to ask, I know I'm very new, so I'm sorry, but I'm interested also in the community engagement piece with the guest speakers, and I know that it might be too early because with what all is happening to be thinking about that, but in planning for future meetings, that was one of the things that really drew me to be interested to learn more about many different topics, and sort of the piece that I haven't heard as much about so far was some of the environmental advocacy and sustainability and those practices. And I would really like to see something like that if we have the privilege to continue to be able to be part of those learning sessions in the future meetings.
Thank you for that, because I think our first year in operation, we were really good about having speakers at each of our meetings that addressed a number of different topics, and kind of fell by the wayside with a lot of the event planning that we've been doing, but we really wanted to pick it up again this year, and had talked about some of the kind of areas of focus that we might want to address. So given that April is Earth Month, if anyone should have any suggestions for a speaker, I don't know, Amanda, if you have some thoughts about it. The way we had done it in the past was the invitation can go through Matthew, or if you'd like, you can reach out to any contacts and have them, and then copy Matthew, who can give them the logistics. But it's generally about a 20-minute presentation with a little time for Q&A afterwards. And if they have a PowerPoint presentation, we can run it as well. So I would assume we're going to have a meeting in April, and if you want to reach out to someone, I think that would be great.
I will absolutely do that, and I will copy you. Thank you.
And also for everybody, just a reminder that all of our guest speakers are linked to on the HERE Commission page. And I think, I don't know if we can watch there. Oh yeah, you can view their presentations on there too. Oh, cool.
Thank you for that reminder. All the past speakers are listed by year, and then there's a link to the video, so you can go back and take a look.
And I will say, if you can't find someone, I think our very first speaker in April of 2021, which was our first meeting, was from the Sierra Club and was someone that you knew. So it's been 3 years. If we need to reach out to the same person, he can certainly come back and give us an update.
And he has actually moved to a new job, and so that might be interesting to hear from him. So I can share that information with you too, Amanda. Anything else? Yes.
I'd like to add on that I definitely agree with what Ms. Andrade said. I think the one community speaker I watched was the person who talked about like how there's digital inequities and things about how certain like telephone company or service companies charge a lot more for a certain area. And I think these trainings are important because not only do they inform us, but they inform everybody who's watching the live stream and everybody who we talk to. And I think those community engagement things are like the most beneficial, especially for people like me who's like young and I'm learning about like different policies. And I think that community speakers are super impactful and helpful. In the summer, I probably want to come back and give a presentation myself, but I do think we should be reaching out to more people and like getting some of that knowledge out there and like helping the community.
Thank you for that. Anything else anyone wants to cover under this item? Matthew, do we already go over the public comment for this section? I think we did. Did we?
We did.
Okay, thank you. All right, so we're going to jump back to the original agenda items, and item 4B was the RIPA report follow-up discussion, and RIPA is the Racial and Identity Profiling Act. Commissioners are able to discuss the RIPA report data that was presented at the February 2024 HERE Commission meeting. Commissioners will provide clarification on what additional information they are looking for, either the current report or future reports. Matthew, do we have any public comment on this item?
We do not.
Okay. Did you want to say anything, Matthew, or?
Sure. So just briefly. So as far as what we're looking for, so we can connect with the chief just to provide, extremely clear direction as would be as far as the report that he just presented. If there's additional follow-ups that you're looking for to have more immediately, let us know. If there's items that you're just wanting to have to be included in the following report, we can make a note of that. But again, if we're looking, I think one of the items was kind of the demographics versus the demographics of San Gabriel as they compare to the information that was presented in the report and how those correlate with each other. If that information is if we're looking at that for the report that was presented, or if that was for all of the upcoming reports. So that's just an example to push back to the commission to see how we can better kind of outline the requests.
Yeah, I think the HERE commissioners had a lot of really good questions for the chief at our last meeting regarding the collection and then the dissemination of the data, as well as how that information is being used by the department to inform their trainings and procedures. And so I agree with Matthew, sort of instead of going back and forth with the chief about, taking a look at his report and then saying what we would like to see, maybe it would be more helpful for us to decide what we would like to see from the report and then maybe develop an outline. And if you don't mind, I took a look at the California State report that's prepared by the RIPA Advisory Board. And in the executive summary, which is 22 pages versus the 223 pages of the full report, they do have a number of graphs that I think might be a little more useful and easy to understand. If you don't mind scrolling down to see some of them, maybe you can click on the executive summary right there. Yes, perfect. Because I think one of the criticisms that I heard, or one of the questions that I heard from my fellow commissioners, was that it was a little hard to read the charts that the chief had. So if we roll down a bit, that we can see some of the data that is provided on the executive summary. And I don't know if that's maybe something that we want to use as a model for the information that we'd like to have presented for the city of San Gabriel. But I wanted to kind of get your thoughts about it.
I think, so I think you asked me to be the liaison between the chief and our group. So in terms of notes from the last time, we did ask Chief Alizadeh if he could format more of an executive summary for us that follows this format. So I agree that, yes, we would like that information kind of put into something similar to this with a few of the graphs that seem the most pertinent, like this one, the residential population comparison to stop data. The other things that we asked about was if he could pull specifically the number of encounters or break down the number of encounters on school premises or that involved minors. We asked if he could provide some follow-up again on how the data can be utilized more meaningfully for our department as opposed to just collecting numbers. And even though that isn't part of the mandate at this point, but if he could find a way for that data to be used to evaluate bias and over-policing that may be occurring in, for certain groups in San Gabriel. And then we asked for something that was probably separate from the RIPA report, but if he could identify the number of stops that involved, and I know this is based on perception, but the number of stops that involved individuals with mental health diagnoses or with mental illness. And then if he could also provide for us the number of times that the MET team is either requested or called out, and that would be the MET team along with the social worker. And that isn't, I think, data that's collected in the RIPA report, but is data that we were asking for. So those were the main points, I think, that we would like for him to bring back for follow-up.
And one thing, thank you for taking the lead on this. And if anyone wants to jump in to assist, I'm going to leave that door open because I think that Kathy Chavez Morris might be interested. I know she has some law enforcement in her family, so she might be the most qualified to take on this as well. But if you go back, Matthew, there's also, if we go back to the previous page, there's also a best practices, Chastity, that might be useful to take a look at, and I printed out a copy. So some of the things that this is the advisory board has put together as some of their best practice recommendations. And so I think that there may be some information here. There's a section on police contacts with youth with disabilities and youth experiencing mental health crisis. There's some information about, as we've brought up, training and to recognize behavioral health emergencies or mental health crisis. And then there's a whole section on students. So this might be something that might be useful also in terms of recommendations on how the San Gabriel Police Department might utilize that information themselves.
So I guess, are we providing recommendations to them? Or are we asking, so I would say, I thought we were asking Chief Elizalde to come back to us with how he thought they could utilize the information, and maybe he could take a look at this and see which would be feasible and what they might consider. But I didn't think that we were actually making recommendations. We just would like to know that they are utilizing the data in some type of way, because right now it sounds like they're just collecting data and sending it in on reports, but there is no mandate to use it beyond that. And so we were recommending as a commission that it be utilized in some way, and maybe with the guidance of the best practices annual report.
Totally understandable. Did you want to say something?
Yeah. In looking at this site, it talks about the stops. And I know that Chief Elizalde told us that the only things that trigger those RIPA data collection points are if somebody is actually detained. And so I guess there are probably some policy or guidelines that state that somewhere with the reports, but I know that what we were talking about, wanting more information about, were, I think, specifically the different escalations depending on perceived, race or anything as well. And I think it might be a big ask for them to collect more data as far as based on just stops and not detained people, and to have things based on the different escalations, whether it triggered a search or the different things that we talked about. I mean, I think we can ask. I don't know that.
So I think that that's all part of the report. They already collect that data. And what we were asking that day is if they follow the executive summary, then all of that would come out. He didn't present any of it that day, but it is information they are obtaining. And stop and detain, I think we say stop, they say detain. They're the same thing, it sounds like, for the police department.
I would also be interested, and I know we alluded to this in our discussion, in the force's understanding of what is the gender, it's assumed, what is the LGBTQ status, what's the disability status, these are all assumed. Is there any training at the beginning? I know we've been talking about analyzing the data and utilizing that to better inform after the fact, but is there also potential for the front-loaded perceptual training to make sure that our force is as culturally competent as identifying in their very best guess, right? Because it's not always assumed, it's not always what the eyes see. So just making sure that we can also address that and see maybe there's something already in place, but I don't remember if we asked that question last time.
Yes, I agree. I had a really hard time wrapping my brain around the perceived everything because it seems to me that data could then be sort of manipulated however one wanted to do that, So I think it would be really beneficial to have some of that. And in some of the recommendations, there is implicit bias training. And I don't specifically recall anything that was around, how you can better perceive things. It's pretty tricky. But I also understand that, the police department is not full of data analysts. So one of the thoughts that I had that maybe the chief would be open to would be partnering maybe with one of our local universities. I read about, I think, an area of Chicago where they developed a partnership with the university and had graduate students help them crunch the numbers. So it brought them some expertise and kind of took that probably not a regular, job responsibility off the police force. So maybe that's something we could talk to the chief about, potentially helping to create to sort of expedite the information that we want, but not put a huge burden on his command staff. What are your thoughts about that?
I agree, and I happen to work at a university.
I kind of
I
knew
do
that.
have data analysis resources that I will request and discuss this with to see if they can further support the city in that way.
That would be wonderful. Thank you so much. Is there anything else we need to discuss on this item, Chastity? No? Okay. Okay. All right, then we will move to item C, the case management service update. Staff to provide an update on the case management service to be implemented within the city of San Gabriel. And Matthew, will turn it over to you.
Excellent. So at the March 19th City Council meeting, we presented the item to council to implement a contracted case management service offered through the Community Services Department, and it was approved. So we're moving forward with a partnership with the Chinatown Service Center. They're very excited to start, as are we. We're tentatively slated to start the program the first week of May. Again, it's very tentative, so we still need to make sure that their staff are on board to start that date, that we can get the agreement signed and the space works for them. So all of those logistics will need to get worked out, but both parties so far are seeming like that shouldn't be an issue. The council definitely provided their support during the council meeting and provided some additional thoughts that they had as far as reaching out to the San Gabriel Unified School District and really pushing it through those avenues and more directly even to the schools and the principals, not just the administration. So we'll certainly move forward with all of those once all of the agreements and logistics are worked out. They also anticipated that there might be a larger demand, so we're currently working with Chinatown Service Center to find, what that additional cost might be should the demand rise above and beyond 25 hours per week. So that would be included in the agreement that they'll be signing shortly. But again, the case management service is intended to be a warm handoff, so it's not intended to provide, full-blown health care, although Chinatown Service Center does have that within their repertoire. But the case management service that would be provided on site would be direct warm handoff linkage services. So if it's something that they cannot handle within their own agency and refer internally, let's say they're referring it to a housing agency. I apologize, that's my go-to reference, as I'm sure you've realized by now. If there's a housing agency that can better assist them than they can, it's more than just providing them the number or the website link. They'd actually be assisting them through the registration process, make sure that it actually suits their particular needs and that they can move forward through that process successfully and they're not hitting any roadblocks along the way. So I'm sure it will be an interesting transition. It's a brand new program, a brand new partnership for Chinatown Service Center. Of course, they're familiar with the work, but in the way that it's integrating with us will be a bit different. But it should be a very successful and helpful program for the city.
Does anyone have any questions on this item?
No, so just to clarify, so it'll be 25 hours a week. And my understanding from the council meeting is that in terms of languages, we're going to concentrate on Mandarin. They'll be fluent in English, obviously, and then for Spanish translation, that the community services staff will help with that if needed.
Correct.
Okay, and there will be a range of services that they can offer. So housing insecurity, certainly food insecurity, mental health resources, domestic abuse. All of those things are the case manager would be able to help them to find assistance or resources with.
Correct, and we'll be closing the gap as well of knowledge between the MET team and the community services team, because obviously as integrated as we are as a city, there will be times where we're not completely familiar as to the extent of what the San Gabriel Police Department offers and what their individual team members offer and vice versa. So we'll be making sure that those bridges get built as well.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say thank you for making that happen. It is very necessary, so.
It's a wonderful step forward, and we really appreciate all the time you put into it and making that presentation and hopefully kicking it off at the beginning of May. So thank you so much. Do we have any public comment on this discussion item, Matthew?
We do not.
Okay, so if no comments, the time for public comment on that item is now closed. And we'll move to the discussion of the proposed movie screening and panel discussion. The program committee will, which is Michelle, will lead the discussion of the proposed screening of Dealing with Dad, followed by a panel discussion tentatively scheduled to take place Saturday, May 11th, 2024, from 1 to 4 p.m. here in the council chambers. Do we have any discussion, or do we have any public comment on this item, Matthew?
We do not.
Okay, so we'll close the public comment, and I'm going to turn that right over to Michelle.
Yeah, so first I wanted to mention that Amanda, so our Commissioner Andrade, is also helping me on this commission. And I want to thank her also for doing some legwork to look up prices of popcorn and drinks, which is really helpful. No, it's really helpful. But I think I just wanted to start with the date and time. It's May 11th, Saturday, from 1 to 4 p.m. And we chose this room because it is great to watch a movie, but also facilitate a panel discussion afterwards. And I know when we were talking with the filmmaker, a priority of his was to be in kind of a theater space versus having it in kind of a more recreation room or an open room like that. Are we good with that date and time?
I think so.
Great. And I know we had been holding off a little bit on contacting anybody to confirm until we had this meeting to make sure that everybody is on board with going forward with that. So the movie is dealing with dad, and I know at least 4 of us have seen it now. Amanda said you watched it a couple weeks ago too? Yeah. And in our past conversations, we were wanting to have the panel discussion kind of focused around intergenerational trauma. I was thinking about this recently. So we have some folks already with, Department of Mental Health and I think Healing and Justice Center, people who work on these things, the intergenerational trauma. I was wondering even about, though, getting people who are maybe like kind of normal people, maybe not like professionals, kind of representing different generations of folks and being able to give their perspectives. The movie is centered around adult children, Asian adult children of this family whose father is undergoing depression. And they're kind of coming to terms with the way that they were parented as kids and how to help their father in this situation. And so it touches on a lot of the interactions between these family members, between generations. It touches on racism. It touches on, a bunch of things, but it's also a very funny movie. So I'm wondering, I don't know who best to reach out to to kind of get representatives for that part.
Do you have thoughts already about who the professionals might be on the panel? And if you want, also, are you going to be the moderator, or do you want to have someone moderate? And maybe something to think about is how many panelists you want to have, because I'm thinking the running time of the movie is almost 2 hours. It's 1 hour and 46 minutes. So, with a little mingling and a little popcorn eating, probably, are you thinking more like 45 minutes in terms of the panel discussion with like some
Probably
Q&A?
about 45.
Okay.
Yeah.
So my thoughts are, in order for, all the panelists to sort of have a good chance to speak, that maybe a moderator and maybe like 3 panelists? Is that
Okay.
kind of your thoughts, or?
I was thinking maybe 4. But yes, I think a moderator would be a great idea, and to have, specific questions to ask. And I think we can work on that. And as far as specific panelists, I don't think we had anybody already identified.
I really like the idea of the regular person, like an individual who might be in that sandwich generation who's dealing with some of these issues as they bring like real life to the table. So maybe 1 or 2 of those 4 panelists could be somebody from the community, and we can just reach out and say, hey, who does this resonate with? And they could join us.
And I also will remind us that the filmmaker will probably be on the panel.
Right.
Yeah, so, so since this is kind of really our last meeting to discuss the planning of this, if anyone has ideas about who we might want to include, even if it's not individual people, but maybe the organizations, I think we should throw them out now.
The two that Michelle mentioned, so reaching out to the Healing and Justice Center, reaching out to the Department of Public Health, the filmmaker, and then reaching out to one, either a resident or someone who feels comfortable sharing their story. Just kind of coaching them, though, to understand, you know, that they are going to be on a panel, there's a time limit, you know, helping them to present their story in a way that they will feel comfortable and meaningful, and will be, you know, meaningful, is helpful. So but that would be my suggestion.
I would even think about, I've been to a lot of panel discussions recently, and it seems like a lot of the panelists have a pre-call with the moderator so that they can sort of, you know, think about what themes they're going to be discussing and kind of get their thoughts together about it. So I would suggest, you know, maybe just doing it as a Zoom call or something to get everyone together. And as Chastity mentioned, you know, make sure everybody has an idea of what kinds of things are going to be discussed. And maybe one of the things we can ask Tom Wang, who is the filmmaker, is if there's a link that he could provide to all the panelists so they could also see the movie beforehand. I think he might have made that offer to us when we were talking to him a while ago. I think it would be helpful for everyone to be able to see the film and see. It's very funny, but there is quite a lot to unpack. There's a lot about anxiety and depression and sibling rivalries, and there's a lot going on there. So I think it would be helpful to sort of rein it in on a pre-call and figure out kind of what topics you want to cover in that amount of time. The other thing I'm thinking is we're going to probably need to do outreach before our next meeting. And I will say that Tom did email us yesterday, and he has a couple of organizations that are willing to come on board as sort of co-conspirators, if you will, and help us get the word out. I think maybe getting something together in terms of like a flyer or some kind of distribution would be a priority. When do you think you want to start doing outreach for it? I mean, do you think we need to necessarily have the panelists on the flyer? Or, okay. So,
I think maybe if you could get confirmation from those two organizations, we can put the organizations and the director's name on the flyer. That would, I think, promote the film. And Matthew, you said that this would go forward, that the Community Services Department would ensure that this moves forward regardless?
Yeah, we can certainly continue with the program. It's a fairly straightforward, community-oriented program, so it's not a problem.
did we get approval for the budget on this item?
I would need to double check, but either way, the cost for this we can certainly absorb into the departmental budget. It's not a huge cost for it.
Okay, great. Super. There was something else that I was thinking, but it's left my mind. Please continue.
So we'll work together to finalize or to reach out to the different groups to get panelists, and then we'll also work with Matthew to get kind of advertising and marketing materials done, so we can put it out there probably a few weeks ahead of time. I don't know how, like a month? What's your?
Yeah. As long as we have the kind of bones of the information, we can start working on the flyer and all of that good stuff. We'll likely do that in-house for something like this. So that'll allow us some flexibility. Typically, things just need to be finalized about a month prior, so that way we can get everything off to the public information officer to get it posted on social media. So not a huge rush, but
Okay.
definitely a bit time sensitive. And if you want like before you have in mind of a special, a special title for the event, or if you're fine with it just being a viewing of Dealing with Dad followed by panel discussion, we can certainly just keep it simple as well. So likely we'll put something together and then send it to you to review.
Do you guys have any other input on that?
My thought came back to me. I think we had talked about maybe having some resource tables. So I think, was that maybe the organizations that are involved in the panel discussion, maybe in the foyer could have, during the popcorn and mingling, could have resource tables as well.
Sure, that was a great idea. I think we can maybe even do like 3 or 4 groups to do resources. You think that's okay to do out there?
We'll probably keep it to 3.
3, okay.
Just for purposes.
Great.
Yeah. I know that I had forwarded to you the SPA 3 administrator had been all in on helping us find a panelist, and they would be willing to table as well, but they also have a relationship with the Asian Pacific Counseling and Treatment Center. So they said they can do a warm handoff if you want to have them as just like a resource table, or they're located, I think, over here in Alhambra, so they're close by.
Are they part of special services?
They are part of Special Services Group, yeah. Okay, great. So maybe 3 resource tables out front. We'll have a little like mixer, popcorn-y.
We're thinking popcorn, probably, I don't know if that's the thing that Amanda was looking up, if we're gonna have a popcorn maker or just buy bagged popcorn. But I think we can iron that out too between us. I don't know that everybody, unless people have a specific thing that they really want.
I'd really like movie candy, but that's okay.
Oh, interesting. I think that's a possibility. We can get some.
I want to bust the budget.
The price difference between the popcorn maker and the bag popcorn is significant. I mean, I know we're talking about like less than probably $150 total budget, but just as an FYI, we're looking out for that.
Which one is more?
The popcorn machine rental,
Oh, really?
is like $65 or $75. It's like pretty significant. So we could get some better snacks if we use the bag popcorn.
Got you.
Just saying.
And keep in mind, our department already has a popcorn machine, so it would just be.
I mean, okay.
Oh, secret information. Okay. That might make all the difference. Because I will say that having that popcorn maker at, where did we have it? At the Mental Wellness. That was a significant draw to our table to have that popcorn smell. So, okay, good. Is there anything else we need to work with you to decide before you all can move forward? And thank you for jumping in on this one. This is a big event. I think maybe part of the marketing for this is we're having it in May for API Heritage Month, but it's also Mental Health Awareness Month. So that's why we picked that month. And I think it's a great opportunity for a lot of discussion in the community. Thank you so much for moving us forward on that. So you'll also follow up with Tom, I would assume? Okay. Tom Huang is the filmmaker, yeah. Perfect, thank you. All right, so,
Sorry, if I may.
Yes, please.
I apologize for the texting and the ferocious typing. We were finally able to get everything pulled up, so I apologize for the delay. We were having some significant technical difficulties. So if you'd like, I can go ahead and read through the public comments, and then I'll turn the meeting back over to you.
that'd be fantastic. Thank you for finding them.
Okay, the first public comment is from Stasia Kato with the PFLAG San Gabriel Valley Asian Pacific Islander Association. I support the City of San Gabriel's HERE Commission and its work to build a more welcoming, diverse, equitable, inclusive, and just community for all people. Their work highlights the need for translation services for city functions to increase inclusiveness for API and Latino residents. The next public comment is from Sung Se, non-resident. I just learned that the HERE Commission recognized and spearheaded the need to translate city business in other languages besides English, Mandarin, Spanish, and Vietnamese, making information to people whose first language is vital for community engagement. This is why I urge to keep the HERE Commission going. The next public comment is from Barney Chang, non-resident with the PFLAG SGV API. I support the HERE Commission because I'm a member of the LGBTQ+ community and want to feel safe in San Gabriel, a place where I visit every weekend. Next public comment is from a resident. I support the City of San Gabriel's HERE Commission and its work to build a more welcoming, diverse, equitable, inclusive, and just community for all people. The HERE Commission is crucial for our community because it offers mental wellness expos, as well as protecting the community from mental, emotional, and physical harm. Next public comment is from S. Chan. I support the City of San Gabriel's HERE Commission and its work to build a more welcoming, diverse, equitable, inclusive, and just community for all people, creating and hosting 2 mental wellness expos and working on an event for AAPI Heritage / Mental Health Awareness Month in May 2024, conducting a community engagement survey to determine what issues are important to the residents of San Gabriel, uplifting the Native American community through city proclamations, an educational video, and a land acknowledgement statement, offering speakers and resources at HERE Commission meetings addressing topics such as environmental justice, appreciation for the differently abled, information about voting solutions for information about voting, solutions for affordable housing, and support the families of children with special needs. Next public comment is from Dylan Askew, non-resident from the Koreatown Storytelling Program. I support the City of San Gabriel's HERE Commission and its work to build a more welcoming, diverse, equitable, inclusive, and just community for all people. Next public comment is from Catherine Youngmi Kim, non-resident. As the program director of an AAPI oral history organization, I support the City of San Gabriel's HERE Commission and its work to build a more welcoming, diverse, equitable, inclusive, and just community for all people. Their work in supporting mental wellness for the AAPI community, hosting 2 mental wellness expos, and working on an event for AAPI Heritage / Mental Health Awareness Month in May 2024 is important civil work in the wake of anti-Asian violence in our community. Please understand that there is wide community support for the HERE Commission and its important work. Sincerely, Catherine Kim. Next public comment is from Chris Mock, non-resident. I support and hope that the HERE Commission stays intact. They do good work, including uplifting the Native American community through city proclamations, an educational video, and land acknowledgement statement. And they support their work in creating and hosting 2 mental wellness expos and working on an event for AAPI Heritage / Mental Health Awareness Month in May 2024. Please do not dissolve this much-needed group. Thank you. Next public comment is from Kevin Casosola, non-resident. I support the City of San Gabriel's HERE Commission and its work to build a more welcoming, diverse, equitable, inclusive, and just community for all people for creating and hosting 2 mental wellness expos and working on an event for AAPI Heritage / Mental Health Awareness Month in May 2024. The next public comment is fully anonymous. I support the City of San Gabriel's HERE Commission and its work to build a more welcoming, diverse, equitable, inclusive, and just community for all people. Next public comment is from Jane Lee, non-resident. I support the City of San Gabriel's HERE Commission and its work to build a more welcoming, diverse, equitable, inclusive, and just community for all people. Thanks to them, we were able to conduct a community engagement survey to determine what issues are important to the residents of San Gabriel. The next public comment is from Jonah Lee, non-resident. As an intern of KYCC, I support the City of San Gabriel's HERE Commission and their work to build a just community. Their work is very important and inspiring to many individuals. The next public comment is from Giselle Cezine, member of the PFLAG Pasadena branch. I support the City of San Gabriel's HERE Commission and its work to build a more welcoming, diverse, equitable, inclusive, and just community for all people. The Commission has already done so much work to bring awareness of different communities and uplift their voices. However, it cannot stop now. I hope you will consider keeping the HERE Commission. The next public comment is from Nadia Cho, non-resident. My name is Nadia Cho, and I am a junior at South Pasadena High School. I fully support the City of San Gabriel's HERE Commission and its work to build a more welcoming, diverse, equitable, inclusive, and just community for all people. It is disheartening to hear that there are those that believe that the HERE Commission is no longer needed in the San Gabriel community. As anti-Asian harassment and hate crimes continue to rise, as a longtime resident in the San Gabriel Valley, I ask that the HERE Commission continues to operate and promote a safe, diverse space for all. The next public comment is from Oliver Lai, resident. I support the City of San Gabriel's HERE Commission and its past work, such as activating the city's first mandatory implicit bias training for all city employees and amplifying the need for translation services for city functions to increase inclusiveness for API and Latino residents. Next public comment is from Alan K. Chan, non-resident. I support the City of San Gabriel's HERE Commission and its work to build a more welcoming, diverse, equitable, inclusive, and just community for all people. The fact that you all are volunteers shows that you all are passionate about making San Gabriel better and hope to see many more years of building/team building, years of building/leading a more just, perfect, if you will, and prosperous city. The next public comment is from the SGV LGBTQ Center. The move to disband the HERE Commission proposed by Councilmember Menchaca represents a grave misstep for San Gabriel. It not only undermines the hard-won progress toward inclusivity, but also dismisses the lived experiences of discrimination and hate in the community. This action, in retaliation to the Commission's proposal of the All Are Welcome program, directly threatens the visibility and dignity of LGBTQ+ individuals who call San Gabriel home. Discrimination in San Gabriel is not a relic of the past. It is a current and pressing issue. The mobilization of residents, families, and youth in recent times underscores a community crying out for recognition, support, and safety. To suggest the Commission's success as a rationale for its dissolution ignores the ongoing challenges and needs for our community members. It is a clear signal that the work of advocating for and protecting the rights of historically oppressed groups is far from over. The All Are Welcome program is an opportunity to create spaces for those who often feel invisible within their own community. The HERE Commission's efforts in mental wellness, community engagement, and bias training represent crucial steps toward a city where everyone, irrespective of identity, feels genuinely included and valued. Disbanding the HERE Commission not only halts San Gabriel's journey toward true inclusivity, but also invalidates the experiences of those who continue to face discrimination daily. We urge a reconsideration of this motion, not as a concession, but as a reaffirmation of San Gabriel's commitment to being a city of welcome, equity, and justice for all of its residents. The SGV LGBTQ Center stands ready to work with the city to ensure San Gabriel lives up to these ideals. The next public comment is from Marcia Azumi, parent of an LGBTQ+ son. The HERE Commission continues to give visibility to those from marginalized communities like the Asian or LGBTQ+ population. As a parent of an LGBTQ+ child, terminating a commission that is advocating for my child and my family is either sending a message that San Gabriel is not supportive of my child and family, or does not see how much the Asian or LGBTQ+ community is being targeted through hateful rhetoric and legislation. My son has been physically assaulted, called names, bullied, and harassed to the point where he could no longer attend school. Although he was able to graduate, our family lived in fear for his safety and still does. While other cities in the San Gabriel Valley, such as Pasadena, Altadena, Alhambra, Glendora, are lifting up their voices to show their support for anti-Asian hate and/or LGBTQ+ families, the city of San Gabriel joins the group of advocates through their HERE Commission and all it has done through their programs and trainings. Do not terminate the HERE Commission. Show that San Gabriel is a city that respects all, which is what the HERE Commission is doing. Thank you. Okay, the next public comment is from an anonymous resident. I support the City of San Gabriel's HERE Commission and its work to build a more welcoming, diverse, equitable, inclusive, and just community for all people. Creating and hosting 2 mental wellness expos and working on an event for AAPI Heritage and Mental Health Awareness Month in May 2024. Conducting a community engagement survey to determine what issues are important to the residents of San Gabriel. Uplifting the Native American community through city proclamations, an educational video, and land acknowledgement statement. Activating the city's first mandatory implicit bias training for all city employees. Creating the infrastructure and recruiting the first 2 youth ambassadors to any city commission, amplifying the need for translation services for city functions to increase inclusiveness for API and Latino residents, securing grant funding for HERE Commission activities, calling for transparency from the police department regarding RIPA, Racial and Identity Profiling Act, data, offering speakers and resources at HERE Commission meetings, addressing topics such as environmental justice, appreciation for the differently abled, information about voting, solutions for affordable housing, and support for families of children with special needs. The next public comment is from Judy Hahn, non-resident. As a resident of nearby Los Angeles, I urge the City of San Gabriel to continue the important work of the HERE Commission. I support the Commission's work to build a more welcoming, diverse, equitable, inclusive, and just community for all people. I am an educator, and many of my students come from San Gabriel. The HERE Commission has amplified the ongoing need for translation services for the City of San Gabriel. Pardon me. The HERE Commission has amplified the ongoing need for translation services for the City of San Gabriel to increase inclusiveness for Asian American and Latino residents. I also support HERE Commission's work to call for transparency from the police department regarding RIPA data. Please do not terminate the HERE Commission. The next public comment is from Yadira Pineda, LA County Commission on Human Relations. I support the City of San Gabriel's HERE Commission and its work to build a more welcoming, diverse, equitable, inclusive, and just community for all people. They are actively engaging with the community. For example, they conducted a community engagement survey to determine which issues are important to the residents of San Gabriel. And they're creating the infrastructure and recruiting the first 2 youth ambassadors to any city commission. The next public comment is from Tony Morales, non-resident. I support the City of San Gabriel's HERE Commission and its work to build a more welcoming, diverse, equitable, inclusive, and just community for all people. The next public comment is from Jeff Farber, resident. Dear HERE Commissioners and Youth Ambassadors, my name is Jeff Farber, and I have been a resident of San Gabriel for over 18 years. I want to commend and applaud you for the activities of the HERE Commission to build a more welcoming, diverse, equitable, and inclusive community for all people residing and visiting San Gabriel. I support the 2024 HERE Commission work plan and believe that through this work, our community will continue to grow and develop in the key areas of diversity, equity, and inclusion. The efforts of the HERE Commission have included actions to support mental wellness, AAPI awareness, acknowledgement of San Gabriel's Native American and Indigenous community, the city's first mandatory implicit bias training for all city employees, transparency from the police department regarding racial and identity profiling advisory report data, RIPA, and so much more to build understanding, awareness, respect, and support among all residents of San Gabriel. As a parent and a professional that works with young people, I find the youth engagement and youth leadership work of the HERE Commission to be essential in helping to build values of mutual appreciation and cultural competency in our young people. Your work inspires me and gives me hope that San Gabriel can move forward into becoming a model for all cities in the area of diversity, equity, inclusion, and access. The next public comment is from Cecilia Nunez, resident. I am writing in as a longtime resident in support of the City of San Gabriel's HERE Commission and its work to build a more welcoming, diverse, equitable, inclusive, and just community for all people. The creation of the HERE Commission was such a huge step towards us ensuring San Gabriel is an inclusive and supportive environment for all. Growing up as a Black LGBTQ+ woman in the city was definitely a challenge, and I admire the brave work of the committee members. Excuse me. Growing up as a Black LGBTQ woman in the city was definitely a challenge, and I admire the brave work of the committee members in reaching out to communities that have always had a home here, such as the Native, Muslim, Black, and LGBTQ communities. It is important that we make sure that we are putting our words into action and ensuring that we are actually taking steps to make our community a better place. To dissolve the commission at this point would be a huge step backwards and a signal to residents that ensuring the well-being of all residents was simply a one-time promise for votes and no real intention. We will remember at the voting box who stood up to say that all Gabrieleños are valid members of the community. The next public comment is from Sherry Bonner of the Planned Parenthood Pasadena and San Gabriel Valley. Dear HERE Commission, Planned Parenthood Pasadena and San Gabriel Valley, PPP SGV, wholeheartedly supports the work and preservation of the City of San Gabriel's HERE Commission and the All Are Welcome program, which pays special focus on LGBTQ+ inclusion. Every person deserves respect, dignity, and opportunity to thrive. PSGV stands in solidarity with the purpose of the HERE Commission to advance and advocate for equity, access, diversity, social justice, safety, mutual appreciation, increased cultural competency, positive intergroup relations, and respect for all members of the San Gabriel community. Likewise, the All Are Welcome program offers an additional opportunity to identify inclusive and welcoming businesses and areas within the City of San Gabriel where people can feel comfortable being their authentic selves, regardless of their sexual orientation, gender identity, or gender expression. At a time when, at all levels of government, we are seeing discriminatory policies targeting vulnerable communities such as the LGBTQ+ community, the work of the HERE Commission and All Are Welcome program is vital to the fight against discrimination and working towards a more just and inclusive society for all. PPP SGV commends the HERE Commission and All Are Welcome program for helping advance policies and initiatives in the City of San Gabriel that promote education, equity, and respect for all individuals. The next public comment is from Robin Toma with the LA County Commission on Human Relations. On behalf of the LA County Commission, Human Relations, and its president, Jan Davidson, I write to express our opposition to the proposal to terminate the City of San Gabriel's Human Equity, Access, and Relations Commission, HERE Commission. We respectfully ask that your council consider other alternatives to addressing its concerns other than the drastic step of elimination. To eliminate the HERE Commission would likely be perceived as a rejection of all of the work it has done to promote inclusion and belonging of vulnerable people, targeted because they represent a minority race, religion, or sexual orientation. Although not intended, that action will embolden residents who do not want to welcome a diverse community to your city to openly express hostility and even acts of hate. Our commission's mission is to transform prejudice into acceptance, inequity into justice, and hostility into peace. As the agency which has been tracking hate crimes for the entire county of Los Angeles, we are all well aware of the growth in hate targeting Blacks, Latinas/Latinos, Asian and Pacific Islanders, the Jewish community, and the LGBTQ+, the Muslim communities, and many others. We believe the political environment in the coming months and years will necessitate a government-supported body that can provide you feedback from the city's most vulnerable populations. During these heated times, the HEAR Commission is needed more than ever to promote healthy intergroup relations of civility and respect for many groups targeted for hate, and to pursue difficult conversations needed to reach a mutual understanding and to provide advice to the city on ensuring a sense of belonging for all those who experience vulnerability to hate, hostility, and discrimination because they are not of the dominant races, religions, sexual orientations, and gender identities. One of the greatest challenges we all face in these times is recognizing the full impact of our personal actions and words. This is particularly true for the elected leaders of a government who, like any human being, are personally affected by what they experience in their official role. However, what might seem appropriate to do in a personal or even professional relationship may be a mistake for a public leader of government, which should consider the weight of the responsibility and the larger impact of their actions. Eliminating the HEAR Commission will have very harmful consequences to the vulnerable residents in San Gabriel because of its actual and symbolic impact. We hope that you will take up our offer of assistance to explore alternatives to this elimination of the HEAR Commission and continue to be with us in our collective responsibility to end hate violence in our county. That is the final public comment.
Thank you so much for finding those and reading them all for us. We really appreciate it. So we can now officially close the public comment on the time for public comment on that item. And we did excuse our youth ambassadors so they can get on with their homework, et cetera. So thank you for that. I think we have completed the discussion on the movie screening, but just want to make sure that everything is good with that. Okay, so we will move on then to commission reports. Each commissioner may address the HEAR Commission in public on matters of general information and/or concern. This is also the time for commissioners to report on conferences and/or meetings that they have attended. Who wants to start? Okay.
So there's just 3 things that I wanted to share. I've been thinking about some of the new learning opportunities that I mentioned earlier, just excited about bringing new people and new topics, including the environmental advocacy, potentially maybe financial wellness and understanding as that financial equity piece comes in as well. This month, I participated in a few Women's History Month events on my campus, and it was lovely, and I hope that we can include that also, supporting other groups and women in particular in part of our work plans in the future. And understanding that we have a land acknowledgement statement and seeing if it's approved fully, because I'm not totally sure of where we're at in that process, I would like to recommend that we might read that at the beginning of our meeting, potentially maybe after the Pledge of Allegiance, if this body is interested in doing so, so that we can continue to commemorate that big thing, which obviously our constituents are very excited about. That's it for me.
Thank you. Would you like to go next, Chastity?
Sure. Just a couple of things. And just in answer to your question, one of the uses for the land acknowledgement statement that our committee came up, and Michelle and I are the representatives from this commission to the committee, was to read it before, at the beginning of any city meeting. So for a city council and for the, at least certainly for the HEAR Commission, but that it hopefully would be read at those times as well. So just a couple things for me, and I'm going to let Vicki explain more, but we attended a mixer that was sponsored by the California Conference for Equality and Justice at the YWCA of San Gabriel Valley. And that just connected local nonprofits. We did some activities that were centered around community building, and we learned really about the amazing programs that the CCEJ offers. And so I'll let Vicki tell you a little bit more about that. I do want to direct our youth to Mike Fong, our Assembly members' web page, because there is a summer leadership program that we have encouraged our youth ambassadors to apply for and participate in. The deadline to apply is April 14th. It's a 2-week program this summer that starts June 14th. So if you know of any high school juniors or seniors who might be interested in that opportunity, please direct them. My last 2 comments are, one, just again, a welcome to Commissioner Andrade, and I will say that it is a testament to our commitment and our resilience as commissioners that we didn't frighten her off, since she came into a hailstorm just right after her first meeting. So I really appreciate seeing you here today. And then along those lines, a thank you to our city council, because they have really amplified and elevated our presence in the community through their actions, and in a way that we've been unable to do really over the last 3 years. So I really appreciate all of the community members' sentiments that they are sending in, all of their support and pledges for support, and their recognition of the work that we've done over the last 3 years. So thank you.
Michelle? Yeah, just a couple of smallish things. I don't go to that many events. But March is Social Work Month, and so I wanted to uplift the job of social workers, which is a great caring profession that I don't think gets enough credit. It was also World Doula Week, and I am a birth doula, and is somebody who kind of comes alongside folks who are transitioning in their lives to welcome new members of their family. And it's an amazing job, and it's something that we've, as doulas, have been working a lot towards improving maternal and fetal mortality, and helping people to advocate for themselves and their experiences. And then I also just wanted to say thank you to everybody in the community. Thank you for people who came out today and came out to the last council meeting. I don't know what to do with the outpouring of support. I'm trying to just sit here and kind of soak it in, because I don't take compliments well. But I want to say that I am, this might be our last HERE Commission meeting. I'm hopeful that it's not. But I'm really thankful for all of the experiences that I've had here, and for meeting the amazing people that I have met and gotten to work with. And the staff, I think San Gabriel is going to be great anyway, because the staff is so amazing. And we've always said we have the best staff, so thanks, Matthew and Adrian. Yeah.
Thank you so much. I think we all echo the gratitude for all of the support. And I had quite a few things, but the first one I'm going to start with is from Kathy Chavez Morris, who couldn't be with us here tonight. But speaking of Michelle's, we wanted to give a big shout out to our community services staff in the latest Discover San Gabriel. Both Matthew Morales-Stevens and Adrian Fanquez were both recognized for their 5 years of service to the city. So congratulations. And Rebecca Perez got a 25-year service recognition. So amazing. We're so grateful to have such a dedicated staff working with us. And even though she's no longer here, Clara Sang also got a shout out for her. No, she's not. That's news to Michelle. So Although it seems like ages ago, it was really only 3 weeks ago that we had our election, and I am almost always a vote-by-mail person, but I waited too long to get all of my information on my ballot. So this month, I went to the early voting center at our San Gabriel library, and I just wanted to take this opportunity to thank all the poll workers who did such an amazing job and provided such friendly and welcoming service to the community. They were very enthusiastic and really were affirming to people and thanking them for voting. So it was really great to see them there. And I think Chastity did a fantastic job already talking about the mixer, but I did attend CCEJ, which is the California Conference for Equality and Justice, their annual convening, which was entitled Roots of Justice, which is where I found out about the mixer that was happening in the San Gabriel Valley. They're located in Long Beach. But their mission is to educate and empower youth and adults to lead change for equity and justice in our communities. And their keynote speaker, Dr. Anthony Ocampo, is a professor of sociology at Cal Poly Pomona and studies the intersectionality of race, immigration, and LGBTQ issues. In his book, Brown and Gay in LA, which I got copies for the commissioners. We can maybe have a little book club if we end up with some extra time on our hands. But his very powerful keynote address can be found on the CCEJ website at CACEJ.org. So it's CaliforniaCEJ.org. And it also has more information about the programs that they provide on an ongoing basis. So I'll say that the other thing that I got picked up at the conference was a really wonderful equity and justice resource guide. And it includes reading lists for a number of various topics, podcasts, trainings, and we'll try to work on getting a resource page on our website. But for anyone who's here, there's a QR code and you can scan it and get a digital copy. I think it's a really great resource for the community. And then, as part of the City of Hope's Community Benefit Advisory Council, I also attended an event out in Palmdale sponsored by the Antelope Valley Boots on the Ground organization. That was a welcome home ceremony for veterans of the Vietnam War. And it was really moving to show particularly that group of veterans who were not always supported and celebrated when they returned from the war. I'm going to get all choked up because it was amazing. That they were honored and appreciated. And a lot of them had tears in their eyes at the event, but essentially they all gathered, got on a double-decker bus, rode around the city, were cheered by the community. They were treated to a sit-down lunch where they were served. They had speakers, they had raffle prizes, but they also had a lot of resources for veterans. And in particular, this group has maybe not always accessed or understood all of the services that were available to them. So it was really amazing to have all of the organizations there. There was a mobile clinic. And a couple of most of the resources were in the Antelope Valley, but there is a group it's called the VPAN, the Veterans Peer Access Network, which is a program of the LA County Department of Mental Health. And they will connect any veteran or their family member to services, support, and benefits. And by calling an 800 number, 800-854-7771, and option is *3. And there was another organization called JVS SoCal, which stands for Jobs, Vision, Success, which connects veterans with job training and placement opportunities. And they do have a site that's located in South El Monte, so not too far from us. And all of this is very relevant right now because the National Vietnam War Veterans Day is this Friday, March 29th. So I hope we'll all continue to support and honor the service that they've provided to our country. And lastly, I want to wish our Muslim community members, and especially our former here Commissioner colleague, Rick Khan, Ramadan Mubarak, as the holiest month of the year for the Islamic culture is coming to an end this weekend. It's a time of fasting, prayer, reflection, and community, and we will keep our fingers crossed that we get through the rainy weekend and their event is a big success. So that's it for me. If no one has anything else, we'll move on to staff comments. The staff members have the opportunity to address the commission and the public on matters of general information and/or concern. Matthew, any staff comments?
Not tonight, thank you.
Anyone? Okay. Adjournment. So the next regular here commission meeting hopefully will be held on Tuesday, April 23rd, 2024 at 6:30 p.m. Information regarding matters to be considered at each meeting will be available on the Friday before the here commission meeting on the city's website at www.sangabrielcity.com. This regular meeting is now adjourned at 8:50 p.m. Thank you, everyone.